Good afternoon or good morning, and welcome to session 4 of our project emBRACE as we work to create a culture of reflective practice for your co-teaching, and we really use your PLCs as a vehicle for that opportunity. I am Liz Rayburn, and I am the proud principal of Bryan County Middle High School. We are a combined 612 campus, and we have really worked hard focusing in on our co-teaching practices, our inclusion practices, and really driving that coaching coming out of the PLC. So we're going to walk through today and really look at what we've been talking about for this first semester. Where have we been? The most important, I think, takeaway so far that we've talked about and worked on is making sure that everybody in your schoolhouse knows the roles and understands the coaching roles, and that there's a ton of visibility in the learning spaces. So that is definitely been our focus in the previous sessions, and today we're going to really look at how the PLC and how the work in the PLC, the collaborative togetherness of both teachers connects and how you drive that into your learning spaces. So we're really going to look at the collaboration of the PLC and talk again about, are you a swimmer? So what I tell our staff here is I can walk by the classroom in the hallways and I can just look in the window and I can tell if they're a lifeguard or a swimmer by a 5-second glance. I don't need a dog and pony show. And so what we mean by that here is, are you a lifeguard? Are you standing and watching and observing what's happening in your learning space? Or are you a swimmer? Are you in there with your co-teacher, collaboratively working together to support students? And so obviously our mission and our goal here at Bryan County Middle High School is to create a culture of swimmers. And we do a lot of that work through our PLCs. So I want you to think about, we talk a lot here about being capacity builders. And what does a capacity builder look like? And how can we as leaders create and inspire those capacity builders? So how do you work together to develop that co-teaching magic? And I think a lot of the work needs to center on back to that knowing the roles, that visibility, and then coaching and supporting your co-teachers. You have to be able to sit at the table with them, but you have to have some knowledge base about what's going on in their learning space, right? So that takes us all the way back to why it's so critical to be in classrooms, right? You need to be in the learning spaces so you have an idea of the challenges they're facing, the content that they're teaching, the struggles that are happening in the learning space, particularly with our students with IEPs. And when you do that and support that, and you're coming to PLCs, you all are on the same page, and there's a common understanding there of everybody's goal of what we need to do to drive that achievement, right? So collaboration is the key to that, and that's the time of inquiry and celebration. So we do a lot of work here. I do a lot of work with our teachers on questions, and I'm always looking for that one great question, and thinking anytime I'm working with our teachers and they're thinking through a process for instruction, I'm constantly asking them, I'm inquiring, I'm searching for deeper clarity on what they're doing. And sometimes my questioning helps them think differently or think strategically about what they're doing, right? So we want to make sure that we're having that time of inquiry, but we also want to celebrate. Don't forget to celebrate. So that collaboration time has to be one also of celebration. When we bring our PLCs to the table and we're working in those co-teaching marriages, we want to make sure that we are celebrating the wins. Even if they're small wins, little wins, it doesn't matter. Celebrate all the wins. So questioning, inquiry, and celebration is really the key for us as leaders when we're working with our teachers. And that's going to help you build capacity within your staff and within your teachers, because there's going to be a sense of empowerment when you are sitting at the table with them and working with them. So we know about our cycle. We talked in session 1 about how we build awareness. It's really critical that we are visible and we are on the same page with our mission. Everybody in the schoolhouse has that same mission. You've got your intentionality, so you're laser focused on whatever your thing is for your school. For us, it's instructional strategies, and then working together in that collaborative team, that co-teaching partnership. Assessing your impact is what we talked about in our last session, where we really looked at some data and we really looked at how we are using this data and this information to help drive the work that we're doing. And then today we're talking about how we work together and become responsive, and what that looks like in a co-teaching partnership to make sure that we are all rowing the boat, right? That's the end game. We want to make sure that we're all moving together in the right direction. So to that, I want to show you a couple things, and you'll be able to see this clearer on the slides that are shared with you. But these are some pictures from our PLC work. So we've got two teachers here. You can't tell which teacher is the content teacher and which teacher is the ESS teacher. We really strive for that parity. But you can see in here that they are really working together, collaborating, talking, reflecting, and then also celebrating. We have all of our PLCs in our strategy room, and that room is constantly filled with snacks, coffee, time for us to really be comfortable in the work that we're doing, feel good about the work that we're doing, and also be able to celebrate the wins that we are seeing. So you can see here all the things that they're bringing to the table when they're really focusing in on that working together. Time is what you need here. You need time for both of those teachers to work and plan together. I wanted to really showcase these examples because these came out of the PLC, and you'll be able to see on a closer look, like this is two teachers really working together, looking at the SDI, the specially designed instruction of their class, thinking about what students need, what specific things, and then they are mapping them out on these visual anchor charts. And then these anchor charts then stay in the classroom and stay in the learning space for them. So I think it's of critical importance, again, that you've got both teachers, both feeling like they have the same exact role in terms of leading the class, just different specialties that they're bringing together in order to create supports for the classroom instruction and for our scholars to achieve. So I think you'll really be able to see on here some color code, some anchor charts, some visual examples so we know what is a hook, what is a thesis. We really believe in the idea of vocabulary and comprehension with the pictures. So we definitely spend a lot of time in our co-teaching partnerships focusing in on how to enhance that vocabulary piece. So again, you can see this is all going into the planning. This all happens in the planning, which is another reason why that co-teaching partnership at the PLC is so important, and the coach needs to be there. But the coach also has to be in the learning space. The coach needs to know what's going on in the classroom in order to be highly effective at supporting those two teachers. I also wanted to bring and highlight this as the product. You'll be able to see this also closer on the slides, but this is an excellent example of differentiation that was born out of that coaching and out of the PLC. So you can see that there are 3 different levels, and they're all designated by Lexile number support, right? So this one is for students with an 800 level Lexile or higher, and very little support on this sheet. So the teachers have explained the lesson. For the students who are in this band, they've given that assignment. Second assignment looks very similar, but also has 2 boxes here. Can't see those really far away, but 2 boxes that show checking for detail 1, what you need to do in that. You need to introduce that textual evidence. So some additional support here in the 600 to 800 level Lexile. And then for students who are below 600, we've got a ton more support and then a checklist for the conclusion. So you can see that in the PLC with the coach, they really talked through what kinds of supports do we need for each level or each group of our learners, and how can we still make the assignment look the same. So maybe they don't know that they're getting something with a little bit more support because they're all the same color, they all really look the same, it's the same organizing the draft, it is the exact same standard, just with scaffolding and some additional support. Again, this is something that was born out of the PLC, right? So the coaches worked together to support the teachers. The teachers had some really great idea. There was great inquiry, great collaboration, and then celebration when they then came to this final product. So this is really the power of the coaching piece and the collaborative time. So any way that you can find to create that in your school is going to be a huge win for you, because time and sitting together, knowing and understanding what's happening in the classroom is definitely where that magic can happen in that co-teaching partnership. So I want you to just take a few minutes, because we've talked a lot about that PLC and that coaching and that collaboration of the PLC. So take a few minutes and think about when we're together in that co-teaching cycle and we're working together, it really helps us refine our thinking, because we as leaders see everything at a very macro level, right? You're looking at your whole school, you're looking at all your teams, all your students. So how can you become aware and very intentional to make that impact? And then how can you become responsive to the needs of your teachers and what they're facing in their classroom, and how you can support them so they can drive that achievement? So take 5 and think about, make a couple notes about what you observe and question when you coach your inclusion teams, or when you're working with your inclusion teams. What are you noticing about them as they work together? And after you reflect and think about that, I want you to then think what your role would be in supporting those teams to take them to the next level. And then after you have thought about your co-teaching teams and your partnerships, your marriages, however you define them in your school, it's really important for you to look at your data. So look at your data and how it correlates. I think we talked about in one of our earlier sessions, we use a tool here called Bullseye. And it's a tool that supports us in the observation process. And we have our co-teaching checklist uploaded in Bullseye, because it's a really great tool for us to keep some inter-rater reliability around our school, but also keeps track of when we're in those classrooms, and we can pull that data. So we like to look at that data, and we oftentimes make a T-chart with the data, so we can put on the T-chart, typically what I do here is I do my observations, and then I do my questions. So do observations on one side. What are some observations that I see from my co-teaching teams when I'm in the classroom? And then what are some questions that I have? So I'm looking at the data, and then I'm taking the information when we're in the PLC. Watch your team work and think, and then ask questions that lead to better questions. If there's one technique that I've found for myself in working through the last 5 years in the PLC process, it's been, I'm a questioner. So tell me more about this. Why are we thinking this way? What is the bigger picture here? I'm always asking for clarity, and I'm always asking for that bigger question that's going to lead our teams and our teachers to think differently about things, and to maybe come up with a better solution than one that they think they already have. And then you want to set the new goal. Something that we always say to our teachers here is, if students didn't have to be there, would you be teaching to an empty room? So we're talking about all this collaboration and all this coaching and working together. And we talked a little bit about the celebrating, but you want to make sure that teachers are still creating learning and lessons that are fun for your scholars and that provide awesome opportunities and experiences. Because at the end of the day, school needs to be fun. It should be fun. Learning is fun, and we want to radiate that philosophy throughout our schoolhouse. All right, so for December, I can't believe it's almost time. First semester will be done. We'll be ready to rock and roll into January. And I think we have such a great platform. We've done such great work this first semester to really kick off. So in January, we'll really be able to assess our impact and continue that cycle. So you want to continue your PLC coaching cycle. You want to coach your teams by refining questions, lead your PLCs, and then always inspect what you are expecting. And by the end of the semester, you'll have a lot of great data that you can take into January, because in January, we're really going to refine and think through how we're going to set the tone for the second semester. What are our goals going to be? How are we going to work together in our PLCs as we really focus on testing season and making sure that our students are better today than they were yesterday. I did add the review of the process just in case you had any questions, but please feel free to email me at erayburn@brian.k12.ga.us, and you can always find me on Twitter, MissLiz31, and find our school on Twitter and Facebook, and continue the great work that you're doing supporting your teachers to support students. Thank you guys. Have an awesome day.